the Sony A7 IV finally got announced. I've been following this camera for months because what's been holding me from buying the A7S III was like, all right, A7 IV is coming out around October, September month. And so the closer we got to the dates, the leaks started coming out.
Yeah.
The rumor specs that you talked about for, I think, like 2 months ago. And like, bro, we should hold off on buying anything because wait till this camera until it's official. And it came out and it's pretty good.
You getting that shit or what, bro?
Before we get to that, let's talk about the specs. If you have the specs right there,
I have them right here. Obviously, Sony E-mount. I don't think they're ever moving away.
I love that. There's too many lenses to be invested in,
and which is good. I like that. 33 megapixels. If you're a photographer,
that's a step up.
So, what do you mean 33 megapixels, Pete, in the frame? It just means that you can fucking crop a picture without losing its resolution,
or you could blow it up like this.
Yeah. So that's what it is. 10-bit. Which
422, it's color.
What is 10-bit? What is everybody raving about 10-bit? I did my research. 10-bit means that you can basically do commercial stuff, right? That's like the lowest minimum.
I didn't know that actually, but I do know it's more color flexibility.
Yeah,
because in the like 8-bit normal cameras have 8-bit. They have like X amount of million in colors, and now with 10-bit is even more millions. It's weird. It just means more color, so you have more flexibility in post production.
Yeah. That's I was like what is this? It's like you were telling me like we were in the conversation, you were like, oh, 10-bit. I'm like, why the fuck does everybody want 10-bit? And then I looked it up on some
it's more for color grading, because if you go too extreme on an 8-bit file, your image will break eventually.
I don't even know how you more extreme. I shot I was editing those Rafi videos, and he shot
those are good, by the way.
He was like telling me, he's like, do you want me to do like creative style or log? I was like, you know what? Do S-Log. I've never done S-Log. And that shit was hard, bro.
Yeah, man.
That thing that I made of myself, I was like, fuck. I still look at it. I'm like, damn.
It didn't look too bad, but it could be a little bit more contrasting.
Yeah. And I was like, fuck, like whatever. But 430, which, when is it crop? At 430?
430.
4K 30?
So yeah, it's 4K 30. It's oversample 7K to 4K. When you shoot 24 frames or 30 frames for 24 frames or 30 frames. Our A7 III's crops, it's oversampled at 6K. So it's 6K down the resolution to 4K. So it's not bad. So it's slightly a better 4K since it's a 7K sample. And then go ahead.
What else? 422-bit, like you just said, 10-bit. 4K. I don't know.
What's 4K 60, man? That's the big asterisk for me.
Yeah, that's
so it shoots 4K 60, which is amazing.
Yeah,
but in crop, it's Super 35.
So let's get down to it, man. So why aren't you buying this? Let's say there's another photographer, videographer, but they're mostly videographer. But they don't, what would you give them?
I will say this: if you have like an A6000 series camera or even an A6600, which is also a great camera. If you want to upgrade to full frame, the A7 IV is the way to go for sure. If you have the funds for it, because it costs $2,500.
Yeah.
If you don't have the cost for it, A7 III is still an amazing camera. We're shooting with that. It gets the fucking job done. That's for sure. I want 4K slow motion. I don't care about 4K 120 frames per second, which is like super slow motion. I just want 4K slow motion, which is 4K 60. But the fucking A7 IV has a crop factor when you shoot in that mode.
Yeah.
Which means it's Super 35, which is that camera, the A6300 that I have. I don't want that. So if my widest lens is a 17 millimeter. Yeah. If I wanted to shoot something in slow motion in that focal length, if I want to do 4K 60, it becomes a 17 times 1.5. I believe that's 25. Yeah. So it becomes a 25 millimeter. So I was like, why the fuck would I want to get a wide lens? When I shoot 4K, it's going to crop into a 24 or 25. Like, I don't want that. I want a 17 millimeter look.
Yeah.
Sony played this really good, though. Like, that's smart of them, because little history. This is just my personal theory. I could be wrong. When the A7 III first came out 3.5 years ago, at that time, it was revolutionary, man. It was people will say that's the perfect fucking camera at that time. It's like, it's the perfect hybrid for photos and video. So once they dropped that like, I think a year after the A7S II came out, people stopped buying the A7S II immediately. They went to go get the A7 III instead. So they learned their lesson. Is like, we can't make a camera too fucking perfect, because if we have 4K slow motion on the A7 IV, people are going to stop buying the A7S III, which costs an extra $1,000 at $3,500.
Yeah.
Well played, Sony, but I'm fucking hot because I wanted the A7 IV. I don't want to spend another $1,000 to get the A7S III and shoot 4K slow motion in full frame.
Yeah.
So that's just my personal theory on that.
And you shoot photos too sometimes for fun and shit.
Photos
so that's why you want that. That's why you're upset, or
it's $1,000 cheaper, honestly. I'm keeping it a stack with you. I mean, I could get the A7. I'm probably gonna get the A7S III now, but the A7 IV is amazing autofocus. It has a few features that I can't remember by heart that the A7S III doesn't have as far as the autofocus.
Yeah,
it shoots like animal eye autofocus, bird's eye autofocus. It has video eye tracking, which our A7 IIIs do not have, which I've been wanting to forever. Yeah. Finally has a flippy screen. Been dying to get a flippy screen camera for the vlogs that I never make. So there's a few features, like internal things that I just can't remember right now because I'm getting fucking hot just thinking about it. But yeah, it's a nice upgrade from the A7 III. But yeah, man, that 4K 60 crop just kills me, man. Yeah. I can't. I want a full frame. It's 2021. We have the technology. Why aren't we shooting everything full frame? Why does it have to be cropped in? But I get what Sony is doing. If I were to think this straight, they don't want to lose the freaking sales on the A7S III.
Yeah. Well, you know, and we are living in a golden age of cameras.
Dude. Oh my God, dude. Like, every camera's amazing.
Like the fucking iPhone 13, cinematography, the perfect hybrid that's, you know, anybody can buy.
Pro consumer.
Yeah, $2,500, dude. $2,500.
It sounds like a lot, guys, but it's honestly in relativity, it's fucking not a lot, dude.
And that's a big Sony move. Like how can we put the power of people to where like they can take photos and videography?
It's the perfect hybrid.
Capture memories, which is like that's their advertising. Yeah. I saw a review. I'm like, damn, that's good. Like you're saying, like the average Joe can buy this camera and be a fucking photographer pro, and that's you're gonna sell it. Yeah. That's their flagship right now. It's putting a shit ton of power in the consumer and being like, here, you can be a photographer, you can be a cinematographer. Yeah. But there are restraints, obviously, and that's one of the things that they have done really, really well. Mm-hmm. And you know, with the whole. Because they got to compete with iPhone, man. iPhone is
fuck the iPhone. They got to compete with Canon, dude. This is relatively kind of like the Canon R5, I want to say.
Yeah, it's a hybrid.
Or the ICE R6. It's like they're both perfect hybrid cameras, and they have dope video features too. Yeah. And it's the same price, honestly. I think if it's the R5
or is more expensive, isn't it? It's like $3,500. It's like the same.
So maybe it's the R6 then that they're competing with.
Oh no, that's the R5 is fucking $5,000 or something.
No, that's another one, I think, man.
I don't know, but they're making it cheap and they're making it accessible to all the people to tell their story, which is
it's funny. Cool, man. It's cool.
But it's cool.
I think it's dope.
Now let's move on. I mean, that's cool. The A7 III, would I get it as a photographer? No, because the A7 IV. The only thing
32 megapixels is dope. What do you mean?
The only
thing
it
has great better autofocus.
Fuck about I never zoom in. I never post pictures. My shit's not good enough to be in posters. Like I don't need it. What gets me is like the A1 processor. It has the same A1 processor.
That's a beefy camera.
Yeah, that's amazing. Like what does that mean? It just means the focusing. Like you said, the animal detection.
Yeah, it's more sports lane.
Yeah, it has the A1 fucking sensor on a fucking $2,500 camera. The A1 is like $6,000 or something like that.
Yeah.
So that's really impressive.
Would you consider getting that?
No, because I only shoot photography. Still photography. I don't do any action sports.
It's more meant for photography though.
But I don't do action sports.
Yeah, true.
I mean, I don't need.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. We can't be the guys that preach that gear doesn't matter, but at the same time, we're just. If
I can go back in time and I was like, this shit, I didn't get this, and I still have my A6000. Yes, I would get it. Yeah. But now I have this, and it's like minimal. And I've seen pixel peepers like zoom in. I'm like, dude, I can't even tell the difference.
I saw the your Many boy. Ortiz. Yeah, I saw the comparison. Yeah. Between the A7 III and A7 IV, and it was any kind of difference at all, if anything. Yeah. I think it might have performed a little bit better in autofocus, but split like slightly, which is not a deal breaker for anybody. Yeah. But yeah, in photography, I get what you're saying. I stick with the A7 III if you want to do upgrade and still save some coin, go with the R series, or the A7R4, I think. It's fucking beefy.
Everything is going cheap, man. It's all up to you. Like you got to do research, but If you're going from a really low, shit, I would get the A7 IV,
right?
because it's your first like hyper camera that is really beefy and shit.
I don't know. If you're a rookie, I wouldn't get the A7 IV. I'd probably just get the A7 III TBH.
Yeah, you can get that if you're a photographer.
And honestly, and you're right. You brought up a good point about the resolution. It's like it's not good enough to blow up. You're posting your images online.
Yeah.
The more megapixels doesn't do shit to the internet because it's going to compress it.
Yeah.
So even if you have a 12 megapixel sensor, that's enough for the internet.
Yeah.
That's why iPhones are all 12 megapixels. A lot of drones are 12 megapixels as well. The A7S III shoots 12 megapixel photos.
Yeah.
And people were killing it because it's only 12 megapixels. I'm like, dude, it's for the less megapixels, the more light goes into the sensor, which is called the A7S as for sensitivity in the sensor. That's why it's a low light beast. Mm-hmm. But most pictures are seen in the internet and they're not in posters like of this size or bigger. Yeah. So the megapixels shouldn't be a selling point to you. But Canon, Nikon, Sony do a good job. Like, hey, more megapixels. It's like cameras saying like, hey, we're shooting 25K at this point. We're shooting 8K, 9K, and people are freaking beating off for it. But it doesn't really matter because it's going to be shown on a fucking phone.
Yeah, no, it's. I would compare the megapixels. The more megapixels, it would be like 4K 240. Like that's what I would say. Like that's what I would compare. Like, are you really going to use 240 on every fucking single video clip? Are you going to show a whole B-roll of 240?
That's why I said I don't want 4K 120. I wanted 4K 60. That's all the slow motion that I need for my style of work.
Yeah. But
the crop factor fucks me up. Like I can't. I want a full frame. So I think I'm gonna have to cough up another $1,000 to get the A7S III.
Well, why don't you show them? You got the A7 III, right?
But it's a good camera, man. If you don't have a full frame camera and you're invested in Sony glass already,
get that.
And you have like the 6600 and you want to go full frame, it depending on your funds and depending on your work and your workflow, if you could afford the A7 IV, I recommend it. It's an amazing camera. But if you don't have the 2500, you want to save another $500, $600, A7 III, man. I've seen them as low as $1,500 on a used like on OfferUp or something.
Don't forget taxes, baby.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. Like if you want to save $500 to $600, $700, get it used. You're not paying for the tax, and then you just get the camera by itself like that. So, but yeah, man, A7 IV is finally out, and
the next beast.